Hey everybody, my name is Gregg Hayward. I work for the City of Gresham doing business sustainability outreach assistance. I help businesses on recycling and composting and waste reduction, food donation, and then business sustainability assistance. We help businesses on all different ways, helping them be more sustainable, more green, and taking good care of our environment. So I'm here today to talk about some important things. Recycling right, and also what we call the waste hierarchy, or where recycling fits in the larger scheme of how we take care of the environment through our materials. So before I get into that, I just want to say that our program provides free assistance to businesses across the city, from stickers and posters to indoor collection bins for recycling, as well as training for staff, and like I said earlier, green business certification. So I want to talk first about the recycling and waste reduction hierarchy. And so basically people think about reduce, reuse, recycle. They probably say them a lot in a kind of flat tone. They actually are in a hierarchy, meaning that if you're able to practice reduce, that's the strongest and most impactful environmental action in terms of waste reduction. Reuse follows that, and then composting and recycling, and then finally putting things into the garbage or the landfill. So where possible, doing things that reduce your waste. For example, looking at, well, when we looked at Gresham's carbon footprint, we found that a good chunk of it comes from the materials that we buy. So the things that we use in our homes, we use every day, as well as like our food that we purchase. When we waste those things, we waste all of the inputs that went into them. So growing food, for example, the water and energy, transportation, heating, cooling, for all of that, when that stuff gets wasted, so do those resources. Also with other products that we may purchase and only use for a very short period of time, like a disposable coffee cup or other things like that, those resources that went in to make it, if it doesn't get used again and again, those resources essentially kind of get wasted too. So thinking in terms of a hierarchy of waste, and when possible, making decisions that help you reduce and reuse is very, very beneficial for the environment, and it's something that you can do every day that takes good care of our shared planet. But I want to speak to you today is about recycling. And recycling is also very, very important for helping us with taking care of the environment, but we don't want you to get completely stuck on just recycling and composting as the only way, because there's many other things that we can do that have even bigger impacts in terms of carbon reduction. When you recycle an aluminum can, it saves 90% of the energy that would have been used to make a new aluminum can from fresh natural resources. When you recycle a steel can, that saves 60% of the energy that would have been needed to make that from fresh natural resources. And all the way across the board, recycling saves energy. So it's definitely something that you should do to take good care of the environment. But recycling right is really important, because when we recycle wrong, things don't go to the right places and they cause problems. They get stuck in the gears of our sorting machinery, or they go to a recycler and cause contamination problems, or they go and they get disposed of in the wrong way. So putting things in the right bins is really, really important. So what I have here behind me is a setup typical to what's found in many businesses across Gresham. So you have a garbage bin, you have a mixed recycling container, you may have a glass bin, and then you also may have a food waste bin if you are a food generating business for composting your food scraps. So I'm going to talk about what goes in all of these things, along with some of the things that people get confused about. All right, so the things that you see here above our garbage bin here, these are all things that are supposed to go into the garbage that people often get confused about. So first things first, take out containers for the most part. These could be even paper ones that are lined with plastic. They are not recyclable. They need to go into the garbage. These types of plastics here, they really don't have a market for them. There isn't really many people taking this type of plastic and making stuff from it. So unfortunately, this stuff should go into the garbage. Paper plates. These are lined with plastic to keep them from leaking. And so they don't turn back into paper very well. These need to go into the garbage. Same thing with your coffee cups. They are lined with plastic so that the plastic stays in the cup. They need to go into the garbage. With all of the online shopping that has been happening, packaging, the bubble wrap mailers and things like that, These are mixed materials and they need to go into the garbage. Plastic bags, if you have them at your household, you could collect them together and bring them to a grocery store where they could be processed the right way with other film plastics. They need to be stretchy, like you can press your thumb into them. If you're not doing that, they need to go in the garbage. The reason is that they get stuck in the gears of our recycling sorting machinery, and then the machinery doesn't sort correctly. Everything goes across a screen, air blows up underneath this screen to make the paper and cardboard float and go one way, and then the containers go the other way. And when those screens get stuck with plastic bags, it doesn't work right, and it has to be shut down and cut out, and it slows everything down. So please keep plastic bags out of your mixed recycling. They go into the garbage. Here in our mixed recycling container are things that you would want to put in there. So looking first at our metals. So steel and aluminum is going to want to go in here, and these are containers, that's what we're looking for. Aerosol cans that are empty, completely empty, could go in. Your tuna can, your soup cans, things like that. Large pieces of aluminum foil, if you got them wrapped up together, can go into your mixed recycling bin. Moving into fibers, these are your papers and your cardboards. Pretty simple, most people get this pretty well. Where it gets a little bit confusing is this stuff, things that go into your freezer. So these have plastic blown onto the individual paper fibers, and then they're kind of brought together. And that way, when things, if your fridge was to thaw, it wouldn't fall apart. But these, when you put them into a paper pulper, they don't break down into pulp to be recycled. So that's a helpful hint there. Getting into plastics is where there's some pretty good confusion. So here we try to keep it simple. We're looking for bottles and round containers larger than 6 ounces. So containers that are smaller than that are again going to fall through that sorting machinery, that screen, and they're not going to go to where they need to go. So larger than 6 ounces, another way is like larger than your fist, and those you put in your recycling bin and they can be recycled. So we have some examples here, like an empty soap detergent container, yogurt tubs, peanut butter containers, empty wipes, all that kind of stuff, milk jugs, and your drinks and things like that. Glass needs to go in its own bin because when glass breaks, it gets stuck in all of this stuff and it goes to the wrong place and causes all kinds of problems. So glass needs to go in its own bin. It can be recycled into other glass products. That's really important to keep your glass separate. And then lastly, if your business is composting food scraps, our food scraps, our compost system is for food only. So you don't want to be putting any other products into your food waste bin except for food. This food is brought to a compost facility and it's made into a healthy soil amendment called compost. Also, sometimes energy, the gases are extracted to generate electricity for energy. And so we don't want other things in there because they become contaminants in the finished product of compost. And also people get confused and things that really can't break down get in there. So we try to keep it really simple, food only if you have a green compost bin at your food generating business. So that's the long of it. We have, like I said at the beginning, free assistance that we can provide. We can come out to your site, work through any questions that you have. If you have materials that you're not sure about, we're here to help. There's a number of resources that we're going to have nested with this video, from Metro's Recycling Information Hotline to Eat Smart Waste Less, which can help you on food waste reduction. Other resources that we have for food waste reduction are Food Too Good to Waste, a great resource for reducing food waste at your business, which can help you save money on what it takes to make your products, your food. If you have a yard debris bin, can you put food scraps in your yard debris bin? Currently here in Gresham, you cannot. That is because the facility that takes our food scraps is a system that is not permitted to accept food waste. And right now they are not certain if they're going to get certified as a place that can take food waste or not. So for now, our residential yard debris program is just for yard debris, no food scraps in there, please. The cleaner the materials are, the better, because all these things are going to be made into new products. So if they're covered in other things, then it's harder to get them clean and they could degrade in the process before they're made into new things. Or people may not want to purchase them. They'll say, oh, that stuff's too dirty, I don't want to purchase that commodity to make a new product. So yeah, keeping your materials clean is very helpful for our system. Pizza boxes. So pizza boxes often have grease on them, and that grease degrades the fiber and it causes problems for the paper mill. So the paper mill just wants clean, like we were kind of mentioning earlier, clean materials. So if the pizza box on the bottom is got no grease stains, is looking great, that could probably get into the recycling bin. Shh. No, it's fine. And the grease covered part, you could tear that part off and put that into the garbage. The grease, again, is not something that folks want at the paper mill. A really great rule of thumb is when we say, when in doubt, throw it out. If you're unsure whether or not something is recyclable or if something is compostable, it is okay to put it into the garbage, because what's going to happen is you're going to avoid contaminating these other streams. And then give the recycling information hotline a call, 503-234-3000, and folks there can answer any questions that you may have. You can go on the City of Gresham's website. We're here to help you out. And yeah, when in doubt, throw it out, and then figure out where should that thing have gone. Thank you for doing your part to take good care of our shared planet.